My mother said my hair looked too long, so she cut it. My mother said it was better if I didn't have hair, because every time she sat me down and held me between her legs, I would try to untangle free as the burning comb and relaxer mixer straightened my coiled strands. My mother said I should be completely bald, because girls my age were responsible, but I wasn't. She was a witch. And I don't mean could have been, no, she was an actual witch. Her vacuous heart was wrapped in dark spells and sinister charms. I still remember the sound of her voice as she shouted my name every morning. Iwe Moyo, look what you are doing to your clothes. You never listen. Why? Tell me why dealing with you is so difficult, you ungrateful little demon. I remember how she transformed and smiled when Father was around. It was the sweetest smile. Any sweeter, it would cut right through you. And she had her favourites, the ones she shared something more familial with and so were more favoured in her heart. Their blood made them exempt from any cruelty. Yeah, she had her favourites, all right. And then there was me. She would glare at me, her menacing eyes darkening more than our melanin-soaked skin in the scorching Southern African sun. I would sit there. I think about what I had done wrong. Just sit there wishing I could run away, get away from her and her wickedness. I would dream of leaving the black fence gate that stood like a mountain next to my small height. I would imagine that someone would come and save me from the brutal bonds of that woman, that I could be somewhere I could truly call home. What once was a fairy tale palace that Baba told me I could be a princess in was now a dungeon for her torment. One night, I remember my small bladder pressing against my stomach, overflowing. I was too frightened to step out into the dark, but plucking all of my courage, I decided to make my way to the bathroom. I tiptoed through the ravenous corridors, hoping I wouldn't bump into her speaking charms into the night. When I returned, relieved, I climbed onto my bed, but my brown skin caught on the wire. The wire was sticking out because the mattress was too old. Grey turned brown, and red oozed from the layers and onto the sheets. For the first time, I cried out into the darkness. I cried and cried and cried. My new sister cradled me in the night with lullabies and sweet songs to soften my sobs. I told my mother about the mattress. She cackled and roared in my face. She roared and roared and roared. She made me sit there with a bucket and sunlight liquid in the garden and wash the sheets while my new siblings played. When they offered to help me, she wouldn't let them. She waved them away like birds trying to steal bread from her picnic. She told them that they should be playing, enjoying their new childhood in their new house. I sat there and washed and washed and washed my years away. My mother said I should leave and never come back when I became a grown woman. There is no more space for you here, Sha. You have outgrown this place, and it is best that you go and make something of yourself. Don't you want to make something of yourself? I remember the day I finally freed myself. I packed my case, and all my feelings were folded neatly into the confines of its zips and pockets and moulds. I didn't want anything spilling out and tainting the clean marble veranda. I looked back at my sketched out siblings. I wanted them to know that it wasn't about them, but no words would escape my mouth. I grabbed my bag and dragged my heavy feet begrudgingly down the footpath, down past the orange tree, down past the cobbled stones that lay before the gate we used to play with. Looking back at the house, the memories intoxicated me like fumes that couldn't be aired out. Fumes that had filled our kitchen once when I forgot to turn off the oven and led to me being slapped. Fumes that had blackened my heart to coal and melted away any love, like, or contentment I ever had for my life till that point. I waved the house goodbye. I waved my childhood goodbye. For the first time, I opened the gate and it swung smiling. It swung singing the tune of happiness. I lifted my case and each leg one at a time till I was through the gate, till I was standing on my deserted suburban street, till I was down by the shops near the town, next to the big highway. My mother said, Amai Vangu. Maybe that's why she had a hard hand with me. Maybe that's why she had cold, hollow black eyes when she looked at me. Deep down in her heart, she knew she couldn't replace her. My mother, Amai Vangu. I hardly remember her now. How she stood, how she sounded, how her hands felt since that imposter of a woman lived in her house. That scam artist took her role and played it terribly. That shadow of her mocked her duties and loved her husband whilst loathing the child she left behind. The salt water in my eyes suddenly started to sting, and it rolled down my face slowly, then all at once, as I started regaining the memories that she had tried to make disappear, regaining the magic of my mother. My mother. Amai